Hello friends, welcome to Elmonad, a platform that equips students with modern technical skills for a smooth transition from their college campus to the corporate world. In this module, you will learn about Python, which is one of the most popular programming languages. Today's topic is titled Keyword and Variable Number of Arguments. To continue our discussion on user-defined functions, recall that the arguments assumed in the function's definition, called as formal arguments, and the actual arguments, which are passed while calling, must be equal. We also know that one or more formal arguments can have a default value. Values passed are given to the variables of the formal arguments in the order of their declaration. However, this order can be altered by using keyword arguments, as we will soon see. Python also allows a function to be defined to receive variable or arbitrary number of arguments. A very useful feature that gives a lot of flexibility in program design. Variable length arguments can be keyword and non-keyword also. First, what are the keyword arguments? Keyword arguments are also called named arguments. Instead of just listing out the values in the function call, which will be picked up by the variables of formal arguments in the order of their declaration, these variables are used as keywords and the function is called explicitly by mentioning the value to be assigned to it. The advantage of this feature is that the values can be passed in any order, not necessary to follow the order of declaration of the formal arguments. Look at the example of division function with numerator and denominator arguments. We can specifically mention the value to be passed to each argument. Use of keywords is optional, like division in the bracket 10 comma denominator is equal to 5. The first argument is a regular positional argument, whereas the second is passed using keywords. However, passing the keyword argument before the positional argument produces a syntax error, which means that in case of a mixed call, argument without keyword must be before the keyword arguments. A function can have arguments that must be passed with keywords only. The best known example is the built-in print function. It can have any number of expressions separated by comma to be printed on the Python console. By default, the output shows these values separated by a single space, which you can override by any other character, say a dash. By simply putting a dash after the values does not work. You have to say SEP, which stands for separator, equal to dash as the last argument. Here the SEP is the keyword that is passed. Dash is given to the separator argument in print's definition. Let us define a function to compute the interest on given amount and at a given rate of interest. Now, you can call this function either by passing the amount and rate in the order of declaration or by using the keywords. But if you want to force the caller to use the keyword argument only, use a star or asterisk before the keyword arguments, before the keyword only arguments. So, we change the definition and put a star between the declared arguments to indicate that rate must be passed using keywords only. If not, Python will give a type error saying the definition has a provision for only one positional argument and that is amount. Just as we can enforce keyword only condition on the arguments while defining a function, there can be positional only arguments also. An example of such a built-in function is input. We normally give a string inside the input parenthesis, which actually is the value to the prompt argument. But if we try to pass the string as a keyword argument, Python interpreter tells you that the input function does not have a provision for keyword argument. How can this be achieved in a user-defined function? By putting a slash after the list of arguments that you want to be used as a positional argument manner only. In our interest function example, put a slash at the end of the argument list. It makes both the amount and rate as the positional only arguments. If we try to use keyword argument method, there is a type error saying that some positional only arguments passed as the keyword arguments. Note that this feature is available only on Python 3.8 onwards. Naturally, the next step would be how to have both position only and keyword only arguments in the same function. Let us add one more term argument in the interest function after the slash. We can call this function either by giving all positional values or term as the keyword argument, but it doesn't force the term to be used in keyword fashion only. To do so, put an asterisk before the term argument. Now you have a function with amount and rate as positional only arguments and the term as keyword only argument. Any other type of call will result in a type error saying there are two positional arguments only. Sometimes you are not sure as to how many arguments will be passed to a function by the calling environment, either the interactive shell or the script. To accept arbitrary number of values, put a star before the name. Inside the function, it will become a tuple of the values passed. This add function has one argument prefixed with an asterisk. It returns the sum of the numbers passed to it. Any number of values passed are accessible inside the function as a tuple. By traversing it with a for loop, a cumulative addition can now be performed. The first run shows sum of two numbers that are passed and the second shows the sum of three numbers. A function can be defined to receive some mandatory arguments before the variable values. To do that, first define the required arguments followed by the asterisk prefixed argument. Assume a scenario where a student is required to give a first mandatory test and any number of, let us say, performance enhancing tests, the best of which is considered for calculating the average. Hence, the average function has first mandatory argument and then a variable length parameter. See the function in action. In first case, 40 is the mandatory test score. Out of the other three, 50 is the maximum. So it is considered for averaging. In the second case, 5 the first test score and the best of remaining is 9. So 5 and 9 are considered for average calculation. Instead of variable positional arguments, we can have variable keyword arguments also. For that, the name of the argument must be prefixed by double asterisk, which inside the function is a dictionary of keywords and values passed. A simple example demonstrates this. The function is an address function, which may be passed any number of address elements like name, city, phone number, PIN, etc. The dictionary of key value pairs is then traversed using the items method of the dictionary, to which we are all familiar. This second example is more interesting. Students have math and science as mandatory subjects. They can take one or more optional subjects. The percent function stores first two values in math and science arguments, and following is the list of keyword is equal to value stored in optional dictionary. The function runs a loop over the dictionary items and performs sum, which is then divided by the length of dictionary, which is the number of optional subjects, plus 2, maths and science. So we can see that there are a number of ways in which a function can be called by passing the parameters or arguments. Naturally, the question comes to mind, is there any standard order in which the arguments should be defined? The answer is yes. First up, the argument list is the positional only arguments, that is before the slash. Followed by that are the regular positional arguments, which may be called by using keywords also. This follows one or more arguments with default values. An argument with single asterisk means that it can accept variable number of arguments, that is treated as a tuple. It is the next. After that, there is an asterisk, which means that following is the list of keyword only arguments, out of which there may be some default values, or there may be some arguments with default values. Last in the bracket is the argument with double star or double asterisk, that is, it is a dictionary of variable number of keyword arguments. That's all in this session. We have learned a lot of useful insights in function calling mechanism, that is, use of keyword and variable number of parameters. Our next topic focuses on the local and global scope of variables when dealing with the functions. So we shall meet in the next topic. Thank you.